is Career and Technical Education Update John Horizon. Tara Troster. Traster. Okay, I want to say it right. Thank you.
Good evening. This is really Tara's show, but I wanted to give her a little bit of introduction before turning it over to Tara, who leads our career technical ed work. I had the opportunity in the fall to go visit some of our students doing some CTE work at one of our campuses, and I was blown away at the quality and the focus of our students. I saw a welding class where students had shown up 30 minutes early to practice their welding, and they were in the zone doing 60 different welding maneuvers before they were even going to be, the class was going to start. They were there so early, went down to the next room and there was an auto mechanic shop. There were 6 kids waiting outside the hall eagerly getting to get in there so they could practice working on these cars. And then there's time after time after time where I've seen our students engaged in career technical education. They are thrilled, they're excited, they're passionate about their future, they're connecting their learning to these future pathways. And a lot of that is credit to the board and the leadership, Dr. Buck and Noreen and others, as well as Tara, who leads us on a day-to-day basis. So if there was any other job I would ever do in Cedar Rapids, it would be Tara's, because it's the best one to do. So turn it over to Tara. Sure way.
I do agree, and I do say that all the time, that I have the best job. Okay, I have the best job in the district. That's kind of plain and simple. I support career and technical education, and so during the presentation, I will refer to it as CTE. So I won't read through the mission. It is on our way documents, but really the goal is high quality career tech ed programs. And so these high quality programs only happen when we're engaged with industry, input from the students, workforce, so making sure that what the students are learning in class ties to careers that actually exist. And so when you hear career tech ed, it used to be vocational education and home ec and shop class, and those things still exist, but it's having that career focus, and it's ensuring that if they are building a bread box, which none of ours are right now, what skills go into that? And so that's where we talk the high quality programming. And so not just teaching and going back in what you saw when you were in high school, because they are kind of still sometimes in the dungeons or like down the hallway somewhere, but what learning is taking place, and then how does that transfer to jobs that exist in our region? And I will get this. So in Cedar Rapids, our service areas are applied science, technology, engineering, manufacturing, arts, communication, and information systems, fancy way to say a lot of the computer sciences, business, finance, marketing, and management, and then human services. Human services is the family and consumer science, so everything that falls under human services. And I will go through slides that have those all broken down. I do owe you a little bit of an apology. What you have in front of you, what you're going to see, does have some more pictures because the students were finishing projects, and so the teachers were sending some more pictures. Currently, and this is just a snapshot, we have 1,616 enrollments in career tech ed programs across the district. These are just the ones on site, so just what's taking place in the building or the student-built house. And it's a semester snapshot because most of those classes are semester classes. We have 15 full-time instructors and then 3 part-time. Those 3 part-time could be teaching an art class and then family and consumer science to make a full-time schedule, but I kind of did this count probably 10 times to make sure. I'm like, that's a lot of students. And so we have teachers that are passionate about what they do, and then obviously enrollment numbers that show that our students are passionate about it also. In the applied science, technology, engineering, and manufacturing, this used to be basically industrial technology, so your shop class. And Iowa has broken it down to include advanced manufacturing, which we know is a high demand career, automotive, construction, the electric car program, Project Lead the Way, the student-built house, welding, and then woodworking. I'm just going to smile when I see these. This is the newest image. This is a student who has done an epoxy table with a river running through it, and the river represents the river in his home country in Mexico. And just neat as the teacher was talking about it and shared that with me. And then our students in the advanced construction classes, and this is across the district, build a shed. And so they compose it. If you're over in Washington, you'll see the garage doors open and the sheds being put together. So they build the sheds and then take them, deliver them, and set them up. And the young man over there has built a scrap table. So it's all the scrap pieces of wood in the shop, and then would have cut them down, gotten them evened out. And the table has varying lengths on it, which is difficult to see, but that's a scrap wood table. One of our areas of growth, and I will jump into this just right here, I'm saying he. We know that, and we're working on that, of engaging females in non-traditional careers for their gender, but then engaging males in careers also that maybe you don't often see a male in that. And so that is something we're aware of, working on through like micro-messaging, how are the classes marketed, how do students see themselves in that class, and so that's just ongoing work that we have. Kennedy High School has an electric car program, and if anybody has met Barry Wilson, who you have, I think, 2 years ago, he was recognized, was it for 45 years? 2 years ago. So, this program, students are involved in all aspects, and then they travel around the Midwest competing against colleges and other high schools in this electric car program. And the students design it, they go back there, the math that they use to make sure that these cars are running, and they do their trials. And if it's not fast enough, then they go back and they move more on the car. The students involved in this also market it all. So Barry has in his classroom a vinyl printer, and so when I ask him a question about something, he's like, Terry, I need to talk to my experts. And those experts are the students. So the students are designing all the cars, welding the cars, and then everything on that car has been printed in that classroom by the students. The trailer that's kind of over there in the corner has been lettered up by the students. So they're taking all aspects of this program, and they're the ones doing it. The project Lead the Way. This is where I have to go to my notes because there was some really deep conversation on how they described that for me. So the first one is a tower crane project, capstone project for principals of engineering students. And they constructed the cranes from VEX and then Connects materials, which, you know, our kids have had Connects in the house, and controlled them via individually programmed robotic controllers. And then the students tested the cranes and eventually had a competition on whose crane could carry the most weight. And then the one over on the side looks like just some little fun toy, and they turn it and the mouse is chasing the cat in this one. Really, students were required to translate rotational motion into linear motion to create a 3D toy. They 3D modeled and printed their cams, the little go-rounds, and prototyped their designs. So, you know, taking that initial, like, here looks like something fun, which it is, but the learning that they had to do, and then to create that prototype. So these two more Project Lead the Way programs, this one, and it looks off to the side, the Project Lead the Way students that have been in the classes for 4 years decorate a tile. So instead of just decorating a tile, this class used a 3D engraver and then added some, he said, let's get the exact terminology. Electronics laser engraving project. So also using the electronics within that. Then the other, over off to the side, is partnering with the Blend Ed project. And so if you've been in and seen Blend Ed, they have all the saltwater tanks. Fantastic if you haven't been in to see it. But they needed these bio balls, which serve as a biological filtration. So instead of ongoing purchasing of these bio balls, the students designed, prototyped, 3D printed, and supplied for the Blend Ed program these bio balls. So just the collaboration that takes place across programs. The arts and communication information systems, Lots of app development going on, and this is where I do get lost. As they're talking about original Android apps, supported those apps with a variety of methods, including websites, how-to videos, and other types of social media. And then with digital literacy, they're engaging in computer networking, graphic design, computer hardware, web page design, and then programming. Within our entrepreneurship, personal finance, and video game marketing, you walk into a classroom and these students, so I know one of the classes is working on a coffee shop that meets all of the guidelines that it needs to, but then also working with the culinary classes to make sure like the serves, so the safe food handling and all of that is also taking place. The classes also utilize Sims, and so they can practice restaurant management, hotel management, personal finance, sports management, which is a large interest of high school students, actually probably any age of students, so just a variety of opportunities that takes place within those classes. And then the human services, culinary, within those we really focus on culinary, education, and then design, interior, and fashion. Fashion will be the new one for next year. I'm really excited about what that's going to look like. The culinary program, we have mentors that come in, so industry that comes in and works with the students, but then our students also go, and you've probably received the invitations, they were just last week at Iowa City's pop-up culinary event. So they work with local chefs and help prepare, and then sometimes it's a fundraising event, and then those funds will go back to the ProStart program or culinary programs because consumables are food, and food gets expensive as they're purchasing, and so that's one way, you know, to help the program, but then it's giving those students that great experience. The metal can is I say a partnership, it's reusing the large cans from the food and nutrition that would have whatever they may have in there, but they've made silo houses, and so they've opened it up and then they've designed what the elevation would look like and designed what that silo home would look like. Within education, we have an early childhood program and then a school-age child. And those, during that time, the students learn about those lifespans, but we're talking, as we're hearing about the great results with Propel, the coaching with reading that's happening with our elementary, and learning from the family consumer science teachers that they talk to students about what books, why books are appropriate, that we're going to then have some lessons where some of the Propel coaches come in and talk with the students about, as they're going into the buildings and doing the elementary tutoring, like what are they looking for? How can they help the students read? So I had an opportunity this semester to teach the elementary tutors class at Jefferson, and so they spent 4 days out of the week in an elementary building, and a lot of it was listening to the students read. And so how wonderful will it be to partner the Propel coaches so they're helping the students understand what they're looking for and how to guide. And work-based learning. Career Tech Ed was the original project-based, problem-based learning, but the work-based learning on the consent agenda was the MOU for Workplace Learning Connection. And so we partner with Workplace Learning Connection for job shadows, internships, and then a variety of other things such as mock interviews, but they work with building level teams to decide what that building sees as a need. So currently this summer, we have 34 students placed in internships across the region. Anything, and I brought my little list because I do support the students in their internship program so they can receive elective credit. But Unity Point Health, Collins Aerospace, PNN Flight Charter, and so students go through an interview process for the internship and would complete 45 to 90 hours during the summer, and those are offered throughout the year also. And then I had already touched upon the school-age child development internships. And then new for 2019-2020 is a real estate marketing class that we'll be piloting at Kennedy second semester to help work with our realtors on selling next year's home. And then the design, some schools had not offered interior design, so we're offering at all the schools interior and fashion design. And then expanding advanced manufacturing, and so offering more of those classes and working with industry to ensure that what students are learning, that it's comparable. And then as we look at what equipment we're going to buy, does that equipment give them what they will need to be able to maybe do a little bit more training and then walk into a career? This is why, not just Career Tech Ed, but why Cedar Rapids Community Schools is here. So this is students future ready. This was our first signing day, and so it was the students with the senior students in the student-built house. And so they were committed to careers. One was interested in law enforcement and all the others in a skilled trade of some kind. And that's not the end-all goal of the student-built house, because you don't have to work in construction or a skilled trade to appreciate knowing what goes into a home. But just the commitment and recognizing, as we've talked, the multiple pathways for success. And so just, I know part of it is like, how can the board help support what you do already? If something comes across your email, you forward it on to me, or you forward it on to Dr. Buck, and they're like, hey Tara, have you seen this? That's what I need. Showing up at some of the signing days or checking out the student-built house. If you haven't been in one of the classrooms, great. Time to come and visit them. That's it, but that's, why we're here.
Thank you.
And the last one, of course, questions.
First of all, thank you. It sounds really exciting about what our students are doing in the classrooms, and your energy, your high energy.
Sorry, I talk fast and get loud.
No, that's okay, that's okay. So for students to participate, are they invited to participate in the career, or?
It's one of their electives.
It's an elective.
And so we do some marketing. We've improved our marketing. Every building at the high school has done that in a different way. A few years ago, we worked with National Alliance for Partnerships and Equity, and so we examined our enrollment data, and then at the building level, and then took that for each building to identify how they wanted to reach out to more students. And so at Kennedy, they started their career cruise, and it's where students have a chance to go around to all of the elective classes. I know the first year they did that, and Kennedy will be the first one to say, like, we have so many students wanting to get into these classes. And so really what we've identified is awareness of it, and then understanding, what it does look like. And if maybe the culinary isn't a fit, maybe there's something else that is, and that if you take that class, it's just to help you. Some people, culinary is great for everyone, or welding. Or I know when I go to the student-built house, I'm like, oh, I need to just spend a week here. I would be that much more better at home. So awareness that everyone is welcome.
Oh, thank you.
I absolutely love that in the mission statement, it actually clearly says that this is helping develop skills in communication, critical thinking, leadership, and citizenship. And as you talked about all of the examples, whether or not these students are doing labor or technical types of positions, or going on to four-year colleges and doing PhD work and research, all of these skills can apply to whatever they're going into. So this is just terrific, and thank you for all of your work and being such a great ambassador for the school district out there.
I love what I do.
So sorry. So sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
I have a question. I think electric car is only at Kennedy, and the real estate will begin next year at Kennedy. How many of the schools carry an option for kind of all of the programming, or is it, are we developing it in one school and then growing it into another area?
So both. When I started my role 5 years ago, Jefferson really offered the full range of all of the Project Lead the Way engineering classes, and the others had just the first two. And so now, since that time, we've been adding course by course at the others. The other thing, so the student-built house, students from all the schools can go. And the same does apply for all of those classes. So the Washington High School has the Pro Start program. And so she has had students from Kennedy, Jefferson, and Metro attend there too. And so that's the conversation with students as they're looking at something. If they know just from hearing what's happening within the classes, that, you know what, my passion's really going to be culinary, and I want to do the Pro Start class. You can still take the culinary classes in your building, but then there's that extra, or the same with the electric car, or the real estate marketing.
Excellent, thank you.
Just to follow up on that, then, do they have to find their own transportation then within?
Noreen will laugh at me because everybody knows that's the hill that I stand firm on. No, they do not. Transportation will not be a barrier.
Thank you. As I listen to this, I just can't figure out how we're working to our mission, every learner future ready. Great expositions, great work. When you were talking about the mentoring of the high school at doing the reading with, is there any thought of creating a future teacher program?
Where is Linda so we can make eye contact and say, yes, yes, we are. Yes. We have some big plans that we'll be rolling out and planning for next fall and throughout the year. Yes.
Great work.
Yes,
Thank
best
you.
way
So glad that
to
you're here.
push to get new teachers is to have them experience it now.
Something I was going to add, so I like seeing the new things and the new offers that are going to be available, and just knowing that there's that evolution in, what job opportunities or what experiences kids are going to need to eventually lead to those job opportunities, right? My question is more about the makeup and specifically with the students that participate in these programs, because it wasn't that long ago we had a board meeting where we had an ELL update. So with some of those kids within ELL, I think these are great opportunities where, to do construction, you might not necessarily have to speak the language to know how to do the work, right? So what are we doing, or is there anything that can be done as we look to the future maybe and see our elementary schools having more and more diversity, more ELL students, to have some of these programs ready, where maybe our future state would be to have an in-language teacher, right? To be able to do some of these things.
Yes, that would be wonderful. So we currently, it's a great fit for our ELL students because language does not have to be a barrier. Measuring is measuring is measuring. And so that kind of thing. And then what some of our teachers have done, one of them has requested and has a GoPro camera and then videotaped the lessons and then has worked on getting that translated because there's safety concerns. And so once they pass the safety test and then being able, but then really as I emphasize, and I work with Emily Gatto with the ELL program, but then talking about how that, being multilingual is really an asset. And so when we have our students that do have that already, how are we helping them identify careers that are careers? And what do we have that offers that? So we are already in those plans and working with that.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
I just had one comment before we close the meeting, so whenever you're ready to do that.
I'm not going to close it. But before we close the meeting, Dr. Buck did mention this was his last meeting with us. And I would like to thank you for all your hard work. You moved us forward. And I wish you well in your new position. And you will be missed.
And just as a follow-up, I believe on Wednesday, there's a public farewell that starts at 3:30 here at ELSC. Yes, I'm not baking the cookies, which is a good thing. But I think a lot of us will have more formal comments at that time, so we'll look forward to that.
Okay, the only thing left is for the next, if your school calendars and any notes that you have.